This is my happening and it freaks me out, Matt.
I told you, man, my name is Abdullah. I don't go by that slave name.
I'm sorry, Abdullah. I forgot your recent transformation.
Welcome to Halloween here in the basement. As promised, we are dressed up from some of the characters from some of the movies that we watched this season. Craig is Ronnie Z-Man Barzell from Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. And I am Abdullah from Car Wash, played by beloved character actor Bill Duke. Boy, Bill Duke keeps showing up on this show. Keeps popping up. He might just get into that Hall of Fame.
Really? You're plotting out the Hall of Fame, Matt? That's so unlike you.
So did you have a second choice for your costume?
I could have been any number of characters in Holy Mountain, but I don't do nudity no more.
I could get a mask, paint this green, and be a mutant. Do you have a dream costume from this season?
It would be impressive if I could do one of the hollowed-eyed satanic worshippers.
I'll do you one better. I would like to be John Corbus in full religious garb and goat makeup.
I don't know if I could look at that for the length of time it takes us to film these.
I've got a bunch of movies that I've never seen before. You don't know what they are. Every episode I'm going to spring one on you. It might be good, it might be bad. We'll watch it and talk about it. Welcome to the basement. We're getting closer and closer to Halloween, and that means once again I'm going to scare you with a horror movie.
Oh, scare me.
I could pull any one of thousands of movies out of this, movies that are so obscure you've never heard of them, but sometimes you gotta go with what's popular. And what's probably the most popular horror trope nowadays? Zombies. The Walking Dead, if you will. They're coming to feast on you. Tonight we are going to be watching Day of the Dead.
Ah, this is an old benched movie, I believe.
Released in 1985, filmmaker George Romero originally intended this film to be the Gone with the Wind of zombie movies. Because of budget disputes and Romero's desire to release the film unrated, the budget was cut from $7 million to $3.5 million. This forced Romero to scale back on his story, reducing the script from a final draft of over 200 pages to a shooting script of 88 pages. Zombie extras were recruited from the citizens of Pittsburgh. Extras were paid $1 and given a hat that read, "I was a zombie in Day of the Dead." Those hats are probably worth quite a bit.
This is the only one of the original trilogy I have not seen.
What do you do when hordes of the undead are knocking at your door? Well, I say, fight fire with fire.
All right. Ah! A zombie!
Your own zombie army.
The little tiny guys, they won't see these coming.
Run! Leave your loved ones behind. They've been bitten. There's no hope for them. Get into the underground bunker that is the old leather couch as we watch George Romero's Day of the Dead. Get out of here. I gotta get some posters.
Day of the Dead starts out with a group of survivors going into town to see if they can find any living people. There's John the pilot, Bill his buddy the booze hound, Miguel Salazar, and Sarah.
There's nothing. There's nobody, or at least nobody with a radio.
We know that LL Cool J has a radio and he can't live without it.
Now the first sign of trouble, I'm going up. If you ain't on board when that happens, you're likely to have a lousy afternoon.
You from Haiti? You should really know how to cover this whole zombie problem. Miguel and Sarah go downtown and they just start shouting.
Hello!
Oh, this was a sample in a Gorillaz song.
Yeah?
Hello!
Oh, when they come out in mass to greet them, but they're all dead. Welcome to Miami, buenvenido a Miami.
They got to the marching band too? They fly back to their home base, a massive underground bunker that houses the remains of a scientific research team and the remains of a military battalion. They learn that Major Cooper has just died, bringing the number of survivors down to just 12. Sarah and Miguel come in, they're tired, they want some rest, but Rickles and Steele tell them that they gotta come with them to the corral.
Steele and Rickles, they laugh a lot because they enjoy their life or they've gone insane from the tedium and the terror of it all.
Why are they screaming?
They like driving around in a little golf cart.
I'd hate to go golfing with them. What's the corral? It's this big wooden fence that blocks these catacombs that are full of wandering undead.
See, they're storing a bunch of zombies down there so they can study them.
They've got this complex system of gates where they get them in and they grab them around the neck with poles. It's the undead rodeo.
Yep.
Miguel is too tired, though, and he messes up and he almost gets them killed. But everything's okay, and they take the specimens off to Dr. Logan. Sarah tries to give Miguel a sedative. He doesn't want it,
Miguel doesn't like to sleep.
but she gives it to him anyway.
At the lab, we meet Dr. Fisher.
There seems to be a lot of tension between the military and the science people, in particular between Sarah and Captain Rhodes, who has taken over for the now deceased Major Cooper.
Out of the frying pan into the fire.
Is my favorite chapter of Tolkien's The Hobbit. Sarah goes off to see Dr. Logan, or Dr. Frankenstein as he's known around the base, and he shows her some of his experiments. Like that one.
It still has motor function. Probably still has powers of deliberation.
It probably can still love.
Logan's doing this stuff to see if he can actually train the zombies, make them docile, make them more civilized.
There's a meeting where Captain Rhodes tells everyone what's what. He's skeptical about this research program. He thinks they should just shut it all down. There's an argument. Sarah gets up to leave.
No, we ain't finished here, ladies. Sit down.
We've given you
You've
everything
given
you've
us
asked
a
for.
mouthful of Greek salad.
Greek salad?
Formulas.
Feta cheese, black olives.
It's actually quite delicious.
It's been a long time since I've had a Greek salad. I really appreciate it.
Sit down, or so help me God, I'll have you shot.
No!
It's a big how do you do.
She would rather face death than prolong the meeting. Captain Rhodes seems to be a stone-cold psycho. She really just needs to unwind.
It's just Brandy.
She's a fine girl.
It's brandy and roofies. I didn't mention that. Oh, I should have. You should have let me finish.
I like to roofie myself. Don't worry, we're both going to pass out any second now.
So she goes to hang out with Bill and John. Time to get in the golf carts.
John and Bill live in a trailer park way down at the end of one of the tunnels.
Welcome to civilization, Sarah.
John lays some heavy philosophy on her.
Maybe we've just looked too hard at the world. Maybe God doesn't want us to find out the answers, so he sent this plague to wipe us all out.
We was getting too big for our britches.
Maybe all they should do is just go off to an island someplace and find some peace.
The next day, Sarah's back at work, and Dr. Logan shows her his new specimen, Bub.
Nice things for you to play with.
Bub is different from all the other zombies. He seems to remember how to use things that humans know how to use. He has some sort of human memory locked in there. And Bub also seems docile. Well, Captain Rhodes and Steele arrive.
Apparently he was in the military.
Dr. Logan gives him a little demonstration of Bub's abilities.
It's empty, Captain.
Back at the corral, they're getting some more specimens.
They have a little tool failure. One of the zombies goes loose. It bites Blondie over there.
Miguel also gets bit. Sarah grabs Miguel, takes him to John and Bill's house, and she hacks off his arm. Whoa!
Yes! Cauterized.
And hopefully that will stop the infection. Bet you wish you had a sedative now, don't you, Miguel? Huh? We gotta shoot him. He's been bit. She's like, no. Guns are drawn. There's a Mexican standoff. And Captain Rhodes backs down. We gotta get out of here.
I'm beginning to think we should take that helicopter before somebody else does.
They look in on Dr. Logan and Bub. He's feeding Bub some fresh meat. Where did this come from? Captain Rhodes shows up and asks the same question.
Logan's been feeding human beings to Bub to keep him docile.
Captain Rhodes takes this very poorly and does this.
Feed me to Bub!
Torres, get his gun.
Torres Get His Gun was a failed Broadway production.
Finally, Captain Rhodes cracks from all the pressure.
This is how it's going to happen. John, you're the only one who can fly a helicopter.
I'll kill the rest of them one at a time unless you get your black ass out here, flyboy.
Black Ass Flyboy is his reggae alter ego. So you're going to fly me and my men out, and we're going to leave these two clowns here. And not only that, we're going to put them in the corral so they get eaten up by the undead.
Other doctor, Dr. Fisher, boom, you're dead. Now fly us out of here.
John says, I'm not going to do it. You can't force me, man. You're going to have to kill me first. and they beat on him. Well, he'll do what we say because we beat him up.
But they hear something. It's the elevator. It's going up.
You guys go check it out. And John, sucker punches Rhodes, knocks him out. He takes his guns, and he goes off into the catacombs to save his friends. Careful, it's Norman Mailer. Bub's got to get out. It's Chekhov's Bub.
Yeah.
Bub escapes.
Miguel's escaped.
The only other controls up on the platform, the hand box. Rickles, we can't get out of here.
Speak for yourself, dummy.
Hey, hockey puck.
Miguel took the elevator up to the surface. He opens up the front gate, lets all the undead in.
Lionel Richie? A clown, yes!
Always gotta be a clown.
And he lets them all in, and then the carnage begins.
I get in the golf cart. Wee-hoo-ha!
Bub is freed and he realizes that Logan has been killed. A gun was left lying around, and Bub, he remembers that tool. Sarah and Bill, they're running around getting chased by zombies somewhere, fighting them off.
John finds his buddies.
Our heroes find a ladder out of the place.
A couple close calls, but they make it. Rickles is killed. Steele is killed.
Boom.
And Captain Rhodes runs into Bub.
Zombies got a gun. The whole world's come undone.
What did Dr. Logan do?
Bubby's last IOU. He's trying to get down the hallway. He's running at about a zombie's pace, and so it's a really tortoise versus tortoise race.
Just as Shakespeare said, "Aye, there's the bub." And he and a couple of his buddies make short work of him.
Whoa. The zombie has evolved a sense of irony. The zombies enjoy a good day's meal for once in their life. Or afterlife, or unlife, whatever you want to call it. Our heroes, they're rushing to the helicopter. They gotta get in the helicopter. Sarah opens up the door and arms reach out at her and she wakes up.
But it's just a bad dream. She wakes up. She's had a one-night stand with Bub. Talk about a walk of shame.
She's on a beach. The helicopter made it to safely.
They're now by themselves.
Enjoying the end of civilization.
It's tough living in a world of zombies. I'm glad I don't live in it. I just live with cats. Cecil. Cecil, no! He's turned! Run! Run! He's one of them! He's still cute, though. Day of the Dead. Boy, those dead just keep on coming.
Day after day.
The thing that's fascinating about George Romero's work is that he never merely makes zombie movies. There's always a deeper commentary going on.
Yes.
Night of the Living Dead, there's a commentary on racism. Dawn of the Dead is a satire of consumerism. Land of the Dead is a commentary on the war against terror and the divide between the rich and the poor. What is the underlying meaning of Day of the Dead?
That if society falls apart, we will become barbarians trying to keep the barbarians out of the gate. Mm-hmm. And that it'll only lead to madness and violence. But, you know, we could always say that it's just about Reagan. It's 1985. Always a safe thing to say.
When society breaks down, barbarism takes over. Getting to see the mental deterioration that manifests itself in various ways.
They're just arguing. They have nothing to do. They're obviously bored out of their mind. And their boredom is overriding their fear. There's the scene where she's just walking around and four guys are wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like they're fighting over nothing. They're wrestling probably just to wrestle, and it probably happens every night.
Another thing that's unique about George Romero's movies, particularly for the eras that he made them in, he seems to always cast black characters as heroic figures.
Yes. He didn't do that intentionally in Night of the Living Dead. He just figured that the best actor who auditioned was this black guy.
Okay.
The racial undertones that we feel in Night of the Living Dead was just an accident. It's really more of like a mob mentality, which of course ties into racism a lot as well.
In Day of the Dead, the big hero, I think, even more so than Sarah, is John.
He's the one who comes in and saves the day.
Miguel, I'm not quite so clear what his motivation was for his final act. It's just the act of a crazy person, or...
And that Sarah has turned against him, and so it's like, screw y'all.
Maybe.
The zombies have to be let in by someone.
Miguel ex machina.
Mm-hmm. But usually when something like that happens, it's by someone who feels as though they've been betrayed. That's how Constantinople fell 600 years ago. That there was one guy who lived inside Constantinople and he's like, you've pissed me off enough, and he opened up the gates and... Yeah.
Wow.
And now it's called Istanbul.
And there's a song that will teach you all about it.
It's called Particle Man.
How appropriate we're watching this movie for this episode where we're wearing costumes, because this movie features a lot of costumes.
There's that clown. You'd think that Romero did this just for his own amusement. It makes no sense in a slow zombie world. Society's crumbling. I still have this clown gig to make it to. Hey, ballerina roommate, do you need a trip down to the Civic Center? Oh, we've been bit along the way.
Did I ever tell you about the time that I met George Romero?
You have never told me about the time you met George Romero.
I didn't technically meet him. I was at Comic-Con or Dragon Con or one of those cons. I don't remember which one.
Kubel cons.
I'm not a big fan of crowds.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they get to me. And so I stepped out onto the sidewalk just to kind of get a breather. And I looked over, and there was George Romero. I mean, he's very recognizable. He's got the glasses, he's got the ponytail, but the thing I recognized was his vest. He always wears like that war correspondent vest with a bunch of pockets in it. He's just standing there smoking a cigarette. And the weird thing was, these conventions are always so crowded. There's people everywhere. And it was just the two of us on this sidewalk. I saw him and I was just like, I'm not going to bug him. I'm not going to go talk to him. I've felt this moment and now I'm going to move on.
And I'm sure he was thinking, oh my god, it's a Chet Vader guy.
I don't think so.
Do the voice. Don't ask him to do the voice. So this movie was unrated when it came out?
Yes, a lot of profanity.
I bet he was like, all right, let's have people talk like they would in this situation. It's a bunch of men hanging out together. Men talk like morons.
And men in this situation, it would escalate even more.
Yeah.
Because they're moving towards savagery.
I've gone on hour-long road trips with you and a couple other guys, and by the end of it, we're just obscene.
Well, it's admirable that George Romero stuck by his guns, even to the detriment of his own budget, to say, this is the film I want to make. And you don't see that as much nowadays.
No. A lot of the people who worked on the Dead movies, they sprang out of the public TV station in Pittsburgh. And you know who was the king of that place? Fred Rogers.
Oh, yeah.
Did Mr. Rogers watch Night of the Living Dead and have a conversation with his friends about it?
I imagine that Night of the Living Dead was not Mr. Rogers' cup of tea. I also imagine that Mr. Rogers drank lots of cups of tea.
Yeah, probably. So this is hands down the goriest movie we've watched on this show.
The gore was stylized enough that it didn't look real, but it was real enough that it didn't look fake.
It was real enough that you could probably show this in a high school anatomy class.
You know who my favorite character was? Bub.
Bub.
And he was a character. He had a personality.
Mm-hmm. Bub is what gives the movie heart.
Yeah.
And he is what gives it a uniqueness.
Final thoughts on Day of the Dead.
I am hungry.
Ugh. Well, on that note, we watched Day of the... Stop it, you. We watched Day of the Dead. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out.
Matt, help me. Oh.
You can shamble and shuffle on over to our website, welcometothebasementshow.com. All of our episodes are there, and there's a PayPal donation button. You can donate a couple dollars, $1, $2, $3, more, to support our show. You can do a one-time donation or a rolling monthly donation. Here are some of our recent donors. Cody, Abraham, David, Itzhak, Mark, who says, you got me back into cinema and helped me through some tough times. Buona fortuna. Elizabeth, Lee, Erica, Stephanie, Brian, Mark, Kurt, Joshua, Alex, Crystal, who says, give a shout out to your other longtime monthly donor, Corey, for me. Hey, Corey!
Hey, Corey!
Patrick, Sierra, Maurizio, Dan, Patricia, George, Robert, Jay, Danielle, Sarah, Corey, and Patrick. Thanks, guys!
Thanks.
Such a generous audience. Warms my heart. We've got some fun stuff in our mailbag. This postcard from Blake, who just started at the University of Minnesota.
Oh, excellent.
And longtime supporter Chris from Washington, D.C.
Oh, our nation's capital.
We also got a letter from T.S. Lemire, who got into our show from our Tough Guys Don't Dance episode, now over 50,000 views. He's writing a book about Norman Mailer, so he's got a lot of interesting things to say about that stuff.
Well, excellent. I'll read this later.
Christy has sent us this movie. She wants us to watch more animated movies. A Fish Tale. She also included the European artwork and the original title, Help, I'm a Fish, which is one of the best movie titles I've seen in a while. And Samson has sent you a gift.
Me? What's this? I'm gonna ride into the danger zone with this thing.
That is a replica of an F4 Phantom, and he would like you to do a little dramatic monologue here, which I've highlighted it for you.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning. One time we had a hill bomb for 12 hours. Smell, you know, the gasoline smell, the whole hill Smell like victory.
That was for you, Samson. Thanks to everyone who sent us stuff at our P.O. Box. We're looking forward to more. And now it's time for Seen It, Don't You Know? For our second Seen It here in October, we have Horror Part 2, The Revenge. Von Vlogs writes, Creature from the Black Lagoon. Seen it?
Seen it, I think, when I was very young.
You probably have. I had a very special experience with this. The local television affiliate where I was growing up, WVTV Channel 18 Milwaukee, they showed a 3D broadcast of this movie. You had to go to Cousin Subs to get your 3D glasses. It was like a week of promos. Creature from the Black Lagoon, it's coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of pillows and blankets set up in the living room in front of the TV. They had this little demonstration. Here's how you adjust your TV's settings to get the maximum 3D effect. Before the movie, they showed those weird Three Stooges 3D shorts.
Oh, I've never seen those.
Yeah, they're crazy. We were so excited. I think it might be one of the happiest memories of my childhood.
How was the movie?
I remember they had some pretty good underwater photography. Other than that, couldn't tell you much about the plot.
Nope.
Creature from the Black Lagoon, that is a great title. That's almost like a line of poetry.
Matthew Baldessari gives us another little work of poetry. Nightmare on Elm Street. Another evocative title. Tells you pretty much exactly what's going on, but you have no idea how scary that nightmare is going to be. It's brutal, and it's fun, and it's funny, but Freddy Krueger, like Chucky, became more of a clown.
Yeah.
This kind of trickster serial killer, instead of the monster with a very dark sense of humor that he started out being.
And poor Johnny Depp paid the price for it.
And really, not that many people die in it. I think only like 3 people die.
Couple kids, yeah.
But they had it coming. It's all their fault for having their parents who murdered a guy.
Sophia Kallstrom writes, very appropriately, watch 1968's Night of the Living Dead. Seen it.
Seen it.
What are some of the things about Night of the Living Dead that you like?
All of it. I just like it top to bottom. The fact that they use the TV set so effectively in it, that people are really trying to think through the situation. They're having debates about, do we go down to the basement or stay up here? Can we make it to the gas pump? I love the fact that it's 1968 and they still use black and white. If that movie was done in color, it would not have been as powerful. We just saw the zombies in this movie. Even though their insides look great, the greenness of them all make them look a little bit schlocky.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Daniel Simonetti Racy writes, Poltergeist, the original. Seen it.
I have seen it. This is another movie that hits all the buttons.
It has the clown. The tree scraping the window, which I had for my window.
It has that goddamn count between the thunder and the lightning thing, which I did for years during storms. The more I watched it, the less it scared me. The more familiar it became, I could deal with it.
That's Seen It.
And that's our show. We hunkered down in a bunker and watched Day of the Dead.
We did.
What's in store for November, you may ask?
What's in store for November? I'm sorry, I was distracted by the toys.
It's almost the end of the year, if you can believe it, and it's time for us to do a little house cleaning. It took us nearly 4 years to watch a kung fu movie. That's what I call a glaring omission, and that is the theme for November. How could we not watch one of these? How could we not watch something with so-and-so? Something by such and such? You tell me, because you're going to be bringing in a movie that represents a glaring omission.
I accept the challenge.
And we hope you'll accept that challenge as well and join us for our next episode. Good night.
Good night.
Whole new set of charts and graphs and records. What you gonna do?
What you gonna do when they come for you?
Zombies, zombies, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Hello!